time I'd like to invite Senator Heather Summers to the mic to say a few words. Thank you.
Good morning. I would like to personally thank all of the folks that are here today that served on the Public Health Committee. Myself and Representatives Steinberg are the co-chairs of Public Health, and I wanted to share with you a little bit of some of the work that we did on this bill. I was touched personally by a family member who died of an overdose in 2014 at about 24 years old. Our family had no idea what was going on. We weren't really exposed to heroin or to opiates before that. And since that time, I have spent countless hours and volunteer times with organizations and groups to get the word out of shining the light on heroin as far as what it does, how it affects not only the person who is the addict, but the families, and to bring in awareness. We've been able to get into the schools to discuss what the symptoms are, what the signs are. We have information for the students during the day, and in the evening we meet with the parents, and it's been a very rewarding experience, but also very frightening on some level. I'd like to share with you that last year in the United States, as the Senator has mentioned, we lost over 33,000 people to something that had to do with opiates. Not all overdoses, but opiates were involved in 33,000 deaths. 539, that's a number that I hope everyone will remember. That's the number of folks that we have lost in Connecticut from January through June to opiate overdoses. This means that our state is on pace to lose over 1,000 people this year for the first time ever, largely due to fentanyl being mixed in with heroin that is purchased on the street. Think about that, 539. That is an entire high school graduation class. When you think about it in perspective, it's more than our legislature. It's a lot of people, way too many. This number, as a senator, as a mother, as a wife, this number is gut-wrenching. It's unacceptable, and it is extremely disturbing. It shows here that we do have an epidemic and a crisis, and this is absolutely a public health crisis. Anytime you turn on the radio or you watch TV, as you might watch tonight, heroin and opiates are ripping families apart. We have grandparents raising grandchildren. We have children that have lost their parents. We have parents that have lost their children, and it goes on and on and on. And I think Connecticut has realized, through the great people that are standing here today and the governor's great leadership on this particular issue, that this is something that has to be addressed in a continuum of care. Mental health, rehab, and continuing mental health care after the fact, after somebody has gone through rehab. This really is an epidemic and a crisis of our generation. This crisis reaches across party lines, it reaches across state lines, and it reaches across town lines. This reaches into your home no matter where you live, where you went to school, what your zip code is, what you earn, what your parents did. Heroin is not subjective. It likes everyone. And that's why I'm very proud to stand here today with the people who have worked tirelessly on this legislation that you will hear more about. A piece of legislation that strives to educate all of our communities across the state about the dangers of opiate abuse and addiction. A bill that actually does something to help rehabilitate those who are in need, no matter what their level of addiction. A bill that limits access to those controlled substances, and a bill that requires coverage for medically necessary detox treatments. We listened throughout the committee process in public health to many heart-wrenching stories like you heard just previously, and I know that there are people that are standing here in this very room who have been touched by the opiate addiction in one way or another. My hope is that we can continue to all of us work together across party lines for the betterment of Connecticut and of its citizens, so that not one more person needs to lose a loved one or have a loved one taken from them too soon. I have 2 grown children, and I have the privilege to also have a 7-year-old daughter here in Connecticut, and my hope is that when she grows up here in Connecticut, that opiate abuse will be something that we talked of in the past. With strong advocates like you have standing behind me today and the governor, this will be a reality. I want to thank Governor Malloy again for seeing the importance of this bill and signing it into law. And I also want to extend a humble thanks to all of those who worked on this bill. We had a working group that spent countless hours of all different aspects, from hospital to law enforcement to mental health services, all working together to try to craft the best bill that we could. And really seeing the importance of taking the proactive steps to protect our communities, steps to protect our children, steps to protect the people in the state of Connecticut against this opiate crisis. And hopefully the rest of the nation will learn from what we have done here, and our bill can be used to help halt the national epidemic that we have. Thank you.